to a special session next week. But to those who are cheering this, say, we never were taking away your right to possess a gun, but we have a right to restrict who has it and where they use this gun.
Yo, what's goody? All right, now I don't know everything when it comes to all of these laws and all of these states, but I think that this story is a little bit crazy. I think that they're trying to make an example out of this guy all over, let's get to the story. Brooklyn man's hobby leads to a SWAT raid and a harrowing legal fight for his freedom. All right, this is going to be about 51-year-old Dexter Taylor living in Brooklyn. He decides that he wants to take up a hobby that a lot of Americans get to practice. But if you're in some of these states behind enemy lines, you don't get that same type of freedom, And so I don't know if he didn't fully know all of the laws or whatnot, but for doing the same things that a lot of people around this country do, this man has been arrested. He's gone to trial, and now he's been convicted and sentenced. And we're going to get to all of that. He says, I found out that you can actually legally buy a receiver and you can machine that receiver to completion and buy your parts and put them together. And you've got a aura. And once I saw that, I was hooked. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is the most cool thing you could possibly do in your machine shop. All right. So doing what people in Texas get to practice freely. Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Maine, Pennsylvania, doing what they get to do freely because he lives in New York. They're trying to bring down the books on him, and that's what I'm saying. Doesn't the Supreme Court make laws for the land? Like, why are these states still allowed to not only implement these laws, but they're actually able to carry out the laws and, get people to go through the system because of these laws that are unconstitutional. They've been proven to be unconstitutional through the, was it the Bruin decision? I believe the Heller decision from way back. Also, recently you had the New York Pistol and Rifle Association, where, New York had this law where to get a permit, you had to show a reason, and it was like more a shall issue type of state. And then now they've been turned to like a will issue state, but let's continue. Oh man, I could get into so much about this, but I'm going to keep it on the topic. All right. This is going to be Judge Abina Darka. I think it's her name, Abina Darka. All right, she convicts man over gunsmith hobby and says Second Amendment doesn't exist in her courtroom. And that was a big thing with the case. All right, the judge refused any statements regarding this being his ability. This is his right, his constitutional right as an American citizen, law-abiding citizen, whatever you want to call it. This is scary because this is a judge who doesn't want to follow the law as long as it fits her narrative and agenda. And this is sickening because now this man who is in his 50s, is having to go through this whole trial for what? For doing something that millions of Americans do each and every single day? Like, this is New York. I guess that this is what they voted for. The title of the article, I can't get it to the top of it. It says jury convicts New York City man over hobby after judge says the Second Amendment doesn't exist here. Taylor, a 52-year-old software engineer, found himself embroiled in legal trouble after pursuing a hobby. The jury convicted him on charges including possession of loaded weapons, possession of firearms, and violations related to firearm parts and ammunition. And they sent his ass right to Rikers Island. Now I'm thinking that they just tracked all of his online purchases. Is that even constitutional? Like, I don't know. The whole thing seems a little bit crazy, but it's New York City, right? And this is MSN, okay? During the trial, Taylor's defense faced significant hurdles, including restrictions on mentioning the Second Amendment. Judge Abina Darka's courtroom atmosphere was characterized by bias against the defendant, hindering the defense's efforts to present a robust case. So you couldn't mention much about the Second Amendment. And it seems like if the whole thing from the time that man went into the courtroom in front of this judge, his fate was already sealed. The prosecution painted Taylor as a dangerous individual leveraging sensationalism to sway the jury. Judge Darka's interruptions and restrictions further compounded the challenges faced by Taylor's defense, limiting their ability to present a comprehensive defense strategy. This judge needs to be, I don't know about being disbarred, but at least how can you be in the courtroom? This is a constitutional right that this man has. So it should be able to be discussed. And peep how shady this judge gets down. Taylor's defense explored the possibility of jury nullification, a legal concept allowing juries to acquit defendants based on their disagreement with the law. However, Judge Darka discouraged this approach, exerting pressure on the jury to deliver a guilty verdict. Like, this dude never... I hope that he's able to appeal it. I hope he's able to get pardoned or something. But do you really see that happening in the state of New York? The same state that has to allow people to get permits and is not broadcasting it. They're like, it's real hush hush. Despite the defense's efforts, the jury returned a guilty verdict on most charges, prompting Taylor's immediate arrest. So the sentence has been handed down now, and Brooklyn man gets 10 years for arsenal of ghost guns, including rifles found at home. During a search of his apartment in April 2022, officers found 4 AR-15 style assault weapons, 5 handguns, 4 rifles, and more than 50 rounds of ammo in an unlocked safe and a closet. Gunpowder, shell casings, triggers, a 3D printer, and other parts used to build guns were also uncovered during the search, the DA said. According to evidence presented during the trial, Taylor spent about $40,000 to get the ghost gun parts and tools. He did not have any license. I'm thinking that's how they tracked him. You spend $40,000 on various sites. I don't know. But is that even constitutional? I just don't understand how some of these anti-gun states get to continue not only charging people but convicting people with some of these gun laws when the Supreme Court already ruled that the AR-15 is a weapon that's in common use. Okay, it's common. So, a lot of these laws make no sense. All right, in some of these states, they make zero sense. They don't do anything. That makes no difference. Ghost guns are a threat to New Yorkers everywhere, and my office is working tirelessly with our partners in law enforcement to stop their proliferation. Today's sentence should send a message to anyone who, like this defendant, would try to evade critically important background checks and registration requirements to manufacture and stockpile these dangerous weapons. Every ghost gun we take off the streets is a win for public safety. And that's what I'm saying. I think that they just wanted to make an example out of him. And it sucks. Because had he had lived, instead of New York, had he had lived in Indiana, had he lived in Georgia, would he be going through this? The same freedoms that a lot of these places get to practice that a lot of people in other states don't get to. And I'm behind enemy lines myself. So I understand it. Like, it's all bullshit. It does nothing. You pay out the ass for shit, and you don't get any type of return on your investment. I'm thinking they just trying to make an example out of him. And it should piss off a lot of people that this is taking place in just on a state-to-state basis. We no longer have a Supreme Court that means something on the land. Now each state can make up whatever they want to do. I didn't know that the Second Amendment was like they recently made abortion where they're leaving it up to the state. I didn't know that was what the Second Amendment was. So now y'all let me know what y'all think about Dexter Taylor. Does he deserve to rot in prison? All right, 10 years in prison. When he comes out, he's going to be damn near a senior citizen, and that's what he gets for breaking the law because he should have known better. And too bad for him. And just as Judge Abina Darka says, there is no Second Amendment in the courtroom in New York. So too bad for him. Or do you think it's just bullshit that a lot of these courts are and states are trying to supersede the Supreme Court? Okay, they've already come down with multiple decisions about things, you know, but New York and Massachusetts and California and, you know, all these other various states want to have their own laws and actually get convictions. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the most about all of these laws in all these various states. If you do, drop a comment. Let me know whatever you're thinking. Like, subscriptions go a far way for the channel. I hope that he's able to get an appeal. I hope that he's able to get a pardon. It overturned completely, something, you know, because this is crazy. What sucks is I'm sure he has a family. I'm sure he probably has kids, grandkids that 10 years are now taken away from them with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, over what? It sucks that he has to spend 10 years of his life on Rikers Island, you know, with some of the most dangerous criminals, maybe even in the country, you know, for doing what? Doing what millions of people get to do every single day. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. But whatever y'all thinking, let me know, and let me get to my final clip.
Liberal white women complain that it's too dangerous to walk alone at night. And then they sign petitions to release violent criminals out of prison.
I can't even laugh too much because of this damn story, man. Y'all stay wavy.